Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Zop Gaming. This is Total Extreme Wrestling Fantasy Booking AEW. I know that's a big title, but it is what it is. Why is it that? Because I'm using Total Extreme Wrestling 2016 to fantasy book All Elite Wrestling. Why Total Extreme Wrestling 2016 and not 2020 when it's out? Well, I'm poor. That's why. Today we are in the 4th week of June. There's only 4 weeks in each month in this game. So we're in the 4th week of June. We're building towards Fyter Fest next week. So in today's matchup we have Mercedes Banks will finally debut against Zoe Skye. We have the Young Bucks in the main event against the Private Party. And Cody will defend the TNT Championship after last week's mystery attack. Let's get into it because we have a packed show. In our first matchup, Mercedes Banks finally debuts on Dynamite against Zoe Skye. In a match that had great wrestling and decent heat, Mercedes Banks beats Zoe Skye in 6 minutes and 36 seconds by wheelbarrow DDT. My bad, Bulldog. As for in-ring performances, Mercedes Banks had an 80 and Zoe Skye had a 57, which leads to an overall 67 for the match, which is actually pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with this. I think I'm a little bit more happier than when I actually simulated this game, when I actually played the matchups, because soon after I did this card, I actually got a thing in the mail in the game that says partway through the year, 6 months into the year, it gives you who's up for what awards in the game. And since one of my awards is to have the best performer in tag team men's and women's, ironically, I got one that tells me one of my talent is up for the best women of the year. Why this certain superstar is the one, I don't know, but it's actually Zoe Skye. She is up for the woman of the year at this point in the game. This is 6 months in, so there's still 6 more months, and that could all change. So you can damn well bet I'm going to be using her to the fullest I can, which I already had plans to do anyway. This is just kind of speeding them up overall. But I am happy with this matchup. It's a good debut for Mercedes Banks. Let's move on. Post-match, Kathy Kelly catches up with Mercedes Banks as she exits the ring. Kathy, Mercedes, you won your first matchup here at AEW. Last week you mentioned about a possible friend. She clearly didn't show. Do you have one? Mercedes smiles, shoves Kathy out of the way, and heads to the back. We got the tease last week, but we had no reveal this week. Who could this friend be? And does Mercedes Banks even have one? Only time will tell. Let's move on. Backstage, Kenny Omega comes into the locker room where Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, and Cody are. Kenny, have any of you heard from Paige since last week? Matt, can you blame him for not talking to you after last week? Kenny, can you blame me? It was only a few weeks ago you had some of the same problems with him. Cody, I don't think I've heard from Paige all week either. Nick, the same. That's right, so Hangman Page is missing. Where could he be? Luckily there's no tag defense this week. Yes, so Hangman Page is missing. But where is he? Is he somewhere drunk off his ass? Probably. But we'll have to wait and see and find out. Next, we have our next one. We have another segment where Jon Moxley cuts a promo on Darby Allin. Yep, I'm actually realizing I'm making a mistake here because I'm recording this before I actually did the cards and I don't have his promo written out. So you can read it here and I'll be back. Speaking of Darby Allin, we have Darby teaming up with Matt Hardy to take on Alex Reynolds and John Silver. And in a matchup that had decent wrestling, Darby and Matt defeated them in 7 minutes and 32 seconds when Darby Allin defeated John Silver by pinfall after the coffin drop. In terms of in-ring work, Darby was heads and shoulders above everyone else in the ring, which I can understand that. Matt's in decline near the end of his career, so that makes sense. We have Alex and we had Reynolds and Silver show excellent chemistry together. The in-ring performances, we had John Silver at 40, Alex Reynolds at 39, Matt Hardy at 57, and Darby Allin at 68. So that's a good sign for there. Because of the lower ratings of Silver and Alex Reynolds, unfortunately, this matchup only got a 58. Overall, it's not too bad, but I would have liked to have a higher rating for my second match on the card. But I'll take what I get. Let's move on. Post-match, Darby Allin and Matt Hardy celebrate their win, and out on the stage comes Taz and Brian Cage. They just look at Darby in the ring. Darby stares right back at them. Nothing more to this angle, but just to show that they're waiting. They're waiting. They know they're coming for Darby. The question is, when are they coming? Could they cost Darby his world title? Or could they help him because they see it would be easier for Brian to take the world title from Darby than Jon Moxley? No, I don't know if that's that one. I think Brian Cage thinks he could take Moxley, as we've seen in real life. Who knows? Only time will tell. This matchup did show that Brian Cage is getting better at his gimmick, because I had gimmick issues with him. I've straightened those out. Taz and Darby Allin storyline advanced and gained heat, which I am happy about. That makes me very, very happy. This guy's 63. Again, I wish this was a little bit higher, but overall, I'll take what I get on this one. But yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's move on. And we have Cody defending the TNT Championship against none other than Colt Cabana in a match that had a decent match. Cody defeated Cabana in 14 minutes and 37 seconds by pinfall after the Crossroads. Cody makes his 4th TNT Championship defense with this. In-ring performances, we had Cody at 67, Colt Cabana at 57, and this advances the TNT Open Challenge storyline, but unfortunately they actually lost some heat. I don't know why. You'd think it'd actually gain some heat, but who knows. But this was also before I fixed Cody in game, because his stats and abilities were way down in game, to the point where it does not match what he truly can do. So I think it was after this one I actually kind of fixed him to be more in range where he should be. But I'm still happy with this. Unfortunately, again, this is only a 61 rating because I hadn't fixed it beforehand. But I'll take it. It's a good one. We're advancing the TNT Championship storyline. We're building credibility behind it, which is what we need to do. So I'm happy with that. So let's move on. Our next matchup, we have the AEW Women's Champion in action against Brittany Blake in a match that went to 9 minutes and 54 seconds, where Shida defeated Blake after the Tamahashi no 3 count. I think I said that correctly. If I butchered it, I apologize, but it's one of the few moves I think I actually could pronounce. In this matchup, we had the in-ring performance of Shida at 59 and Brittany Blake at 55, which I was actually surprised on how high Blake's rating was here, which is actually pretty good because I have some plans for her in the future and really wanted to push her and brought her in. So I'm happy with this. Overall, this got 52, which is a little disappointing, but I think it was probably some of the decisions I made here, or something with how they performed in the ring, probably holding back or something like that. But it's a women's matchup that's got pretty good rating overall. I'll take it. I'm happy with that. All right, let's move on. Post-match, Hikaru Shida celebrates her win when out comes Nyla Rose. She stops on the stage, mic in hand. Nyla: Shida, I told you 2 weeks ago, If our match at Double or Nothing was 1-on-1, I'd still be champion. You clearly disagreed. Shida nods. Nyla, then prove it. At Fyter Fest, let's have a rematch. 1-on-1 for my AEW World Women's Championship. Shida looks to the fans and then looks back to Nyla and nods, accepting the challenge. So there we go, folks. We are going to have the rematch. 1-on-1. Nyla Rose versus AEW Women's Champion at Fyter Fest. Wow, I butchered that one. AEW World Women's Champion Hikaru Shida at Fyter Fest. Will there be some kind of stipulation at this one? Or will it be a straight 1-on-1 matchup? Only time will tell. Got a good segment. Nyla Rose is getting better at her gimmick because I fixed that one. Let's advance the rise of the women's storyline, which is good. Unfortunately, it didn't say it gave heat. And overall, this got a 62 rating, which that's really good for a women's segment. So I'm happy with that overall. In our next matchup, we have the first matchup of the best of 7 series between MJF versus Jungle Boy. In a decent matchup, Jungle Boy defeated MJF in 13 minutes and 17 seconds by pinfall with a fast roll-up. Let's talk MJF, and you couldn't get the job done. MJF had an in-ring performance of a 64. Jungle Boy had an in-ring performance of 63, which is really good there. The Better Than You storyline had advanced, but no heat was gained or lost, which is key, which is a good thing. And this got overall 57 rating, which I'm a little disappointed with. I figured this would have been a lot better, but I think the finish with the roll-up is probably what hurt it. So hopefully the segment that comes after this can help build the story a little bit better. After the match, MJF has a temper tantrum in the ring. MJF did very well being off script to improvise freely throughout the segment, which is great. No advancement of the storyline, unfortunately, but it did get a 76, which makes me happy because that's one of the highest ratings of the card so far. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so next we have Tenille Dashwood cutting a promo. As before, I haven't written out her promo again, but read it and I'll be back. Our next matchup. In a decent matchup, David Starr defeated Austin Gunn with 7 minutes and 42 seconds pinfall with a release German suplex. David Starr had an in-ring performance of 48, and Austin Gunn had an in-ring performance of 45, and this got a 42 overall. In hindsight, this was supposed to help build up David Starr with some wins because I had plans for him, but because of the Speak Out movement, and this was recorded before those allegations came out, yep, we're just gonna build to what I have plans for him until Fyter Fest, and then we will be done with him. Hangman Page's voice comes from the computer. Page, there's no easy way to say this. You are right. The last 7 days have been hell. Page is heard puking. Page, I've not had a drink in a week. I need to get this under wraps. Kenny, I'm sorry. I'll do my best to be there for the World Tag Team Championship defense. Page hangs up. The rest of the elite look to each other in shock. So apparently after last week when Kenny had enough, slapped the drink out of Page's hands for the 3rd time, the two brawled and Page stormed out. Apparently, while he seemed pissed there, he took that to heart and has stopped drinking. No, he's no longer a drunk Page, he's hangover Page. But will 2 weeks be enough before Fyter Fest for him to get this under wrapped? Only time will tell, folks. This segment did very well. Hangman did enjoy the freedom of going off script, which last week he was doing a poor job doing this, so this is weird for me. But this advanced the Elite Fractured storyline. Again, no heat, unfortunately, but this did get a 75, which makes me happy in the ratings. Well, at least for the rating for the segment. So I'm happy with that. Let's move on. We have Tessa Blanchard taking on Jamie Haitler. In a decent match, Tessa Blanchard defeated Jamie Haitler in 10 minutes and 14 seconds by pinfall. Tessa had an in-ring performance of 79, and Haitler had a performance of 36, which I kind of expected for her. But overall, this guy is 67, which just goes to show you how good Tessa Blanchard really is, which I am happy with. Another women's matchup that has a good rating. Awesome. So the more we have those, the better. In the post-match angle, Tessa Blanchard celebrates another win when her music gets cut off, and out comes Mayu Onitami. She comes to the ring. Tessa and Mayu have a stare down. Yes, Mayu Onitami is all elite wrestling. I'm a fan of this girl. She is awesome in the ring, and she needs to be on a world platform. She does a great job over in Stardom, which is awesome, but I wanted her in all elite wrestling, and she is. But what a way to debut, to come out and interrupt Tessa Blanchard. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes from here. Let's move on. In the main event, we have the Young Bucks taking on Private Party. In a bout that had great wrestling, a decent reaction from the crowd, the Young Bucks defeated Private Party in 15 minutes and 21 seconds. Matt Jackson defeated Mark Queen by pinfall after the Meltzer driver. Both teams show they have great chemistry, which is not a surprise. The in-ring performances, Nick had a 89, Matt had a 84, Isaiah Cassidy had a 59, and Mark Queen had a 59, which is pretty good ratings overall. This led to the match getting a 75 rating. I'm thrilled with this because not always do the Private Party give us good ratings when they're in matches with better talent than they are. So I'm happy with this. I'm really happy. I'm excited. The main event did very, very well. So let's move on. The Young Bucks celebrate their win when out come the FTR. Dax, really? That's what you call impressive? Cash, you said you weren't impressed with us last week? I'm disappointed. Matt and Nick wave them to come to the ring. Dax and Cash leave. So once again, slowly building up the Young Bucks and FTR feud, just showing that neither team seems impressed with what the other team does, and just where is this feud going? What will it take for these two teams to come head to head? Time will tell, folks. But this matchup did very well. Everyone did well off script. This advanced the Elite Fracture storyline and gained heat, which I am thrilled about because it seems like none of my feuds were gaining heat in this card. They were advancing stuff, but they didn't gain heat, and one lost heat. And I think what is the best rating of the night, but I'm not sure, is a 79 for this segment, which is awesome. But I think Sasha Banks may have beaten it, but I can't remember what that was now. But with that said, let's go to the summary. Nope, I was wrong. Sasha Banks didn't even come close to this. That was the top segment of the night. The Young Bucks and FTR at the end. This show increased the popularity in 21 regions, which is awesome. And it got a 73 rating for the show, which is up from last week, which I believe was a 70. Yeah, I think it was a 70 or 71. I can't remember. But it is up, I know that, which is great. And that's all I can only ask for. That's all I have for you, ladies and gentlemen, for this episode of TEW Fantasy Booking AEW. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought of the show. And tell me, do you think Mercedes Banks has a friend? If so, who? Also, where do you think this whole storyline with Hangman Page is going? Will he make it to Fyter Fest to help Kenny defend the AEW Tag Team Championships against the Best Friends? Time will tell. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in next week for the Go Home show for Fyter Fest. And next week we'll also have Fyter Fest go up on Saturday. And since you made it to the end of this video, you're clearly liking what you're watching, so please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps support Zop Gaming. And if you really enjoyed this show, please consider sharing this on your social media. It's another great way to help support this channel. And since it's right there and you know you're going to give us a thumbs up, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell. and turn on all notifications so you know when all TEW fantasy booking and other top content go live. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll chat with you in my next video. Bye!